Well, there's certainly a tremendous amount of instability politically globally right now. But in the United States, it adds to a big problem for the defense industry, which is the lack of stability and the lack of a consistent demand signal from the government. There is a lot of money in that supplemental that you would normally see in the base budget for the Department of Defense that stays in America, supports American jobs, helps the Pentagon replenish the supplies that it has and modernize it at the same time, and build and strengthen the industrial base in the United States to get at some of this increased demand signal we're seeing globally.
Let's also talk about China, because it's a self-described great power rivalry between the US and China. Of course, we know that China has been arming up in terms of their military. How do you think the US is tracking in that so-called race?
Well, I'd never bet against the United States. I think it's clear, and you'll see that in this air show, that we build the stuff that everybody in the world wants. But the United States is watching China very carefully as a potential adversary, as a pacing threat on the military side, while also cognizant of the fact that they're an important trading partner too, both exports and imports. But that's part of why you see this increased defense spending in the United States and among partners and allies. We have a very strong level of defense spending in the United States because we want to make sure that we're always deterring people other countries who might be wanting to start something.
Do you think there is enough investment going into the Indo-Pacific region, given, of course, the tensions with Taiwan, the South China Sea, North Korea, to name a few?
I think everyone in the United States, in a bipartisan way, would like to see more spending and more hardware in this region. Part of the problem is that instability in the United States. We are still operating on a 2023 defense budget. There were quite a bit of movements placed in the 2024 budget, which hasn't yet been passed by Congress. So we need Congress to pass that budget so the Defense Department can make some of those moves to this region in the world.
And, you know, we were talking about those supply chain disruptions affecting defense firms. When do we see that easing up?
Well, it took us a long time to get here. The customer, the United States government, the Department of Defense, as well as global customers, obviously want what they can get for the best price possible. That incentivizes industry to create a very efficient system. And so we saw during COVID, we saw during the surge when Russia invaded Ukraine, that we had this lean system that wasn't able to scale quickly. So investments are being made, changes are being made, but it'll take us a while to get out of something that took us a very long time to get into.
One of the big headline stories at this year's air show is Chinese manufacturer Comac showcasing its narrow-body C919. Now, of course, there's this talk about it potentially joining as the competitors in this duopoly we've seen with Boeing and Airbus, although it must be said that we are probably many years away from that. Do you see that as being a good thing for the airline industry in terms of, you know, ramping up that competition?
Well, I think, first of all, the Chinese being here and other air shows shows the importance of aerospace and defense to a nation's economy, nations that have that industry. And we welcome competition. We don't shy away because we think it showcases our products pretty well. We'll stand by our products. The demand around the world for aerospace and defense products out of the United States is strong. And so that competition just helps us showcase that quality.